Welcome back to the bench. Today we have an Amiga 500 on the bench. Those of you who follow me on Twitter would have seen a picture of this before it's been stripped down. This is the one I received with the very broken top case. You can see that the bottom part here is just completely snapped off. As well as that, there is a pretty huge cracks along the top here. Obviously these cracks are not too difficult to fix because there's plenty of meat here to put some kind of strip at the back here as a support. There's a little bit of broken here. The good thing is that all the plastic seems to be here, so we can glue it. Somebody obviously has tried gluing it before, and obviously they just tried to glue the edges and that's it, which obviously didn't work because there's not a lot there for it to actually hold on to. So what I will do is get some epoxy and maybe put some kind of metal strip down here and then epoxy it in, because I don't think it actually would obstruct anything. Nothing goes into those grooves. So yeah, some good two-part epoxy, which I sadly don't have at the moment, and with the current situation with this coronavirus, I don't want to venture out too much. Yeah, so this will be a project for another day, repairing this. And what I also plan to do maybe is then is to give it a paint job, which is something I've never done. I've never done any kind of spray painting before, let alone spray painting plastics. I know you can get special paints for going on plastics, but obviously even once this is glued back together, I mean, that one's not too bad, but you're still going to see these cracks and it's probably going to be a bit uneven. So if it's going to be spray painted, then I can give it a bit of a light sand for it to all even up and then spray paint it, and then that'll hide all the sins. I mean, that's the plan. One of the fins here was broken off as well, and that was actually wedged in part of the metal shielding. So obviously something's been dropped pretty heavy on here in order to, it's probably been in storage and something fell on it. Let's move that out of the way. The keyboard is pretty badly yellowed, so I'm probably going to try and retro-bright this. I've never done retro-brighting before, but it is coming up to summer and we've got a bit more sun, so I fancy giving that a try. Most of the keys seem okay. The Alt key is broken. It does actually stay on there, but yeah, the shaft is broken, so maybe I can extract that small piece of shaft and then glue that back on. It does have a hole down the center, so maybe I can put in maybe a piece of metal, maybe some thick gauge wire, and that'll strengthen it rather than just a dab of glue. I don't know if this keyboard works, I haven't tested it yet, but I presume it does work. If not, now, not much we can do about that. I plugged in the board and got a lot of mixed and confusing results because one time I got a bright green screen, and then I kind of got a screen that kind of looked like a cross between a green and a yellow, so it was kind of like a really murky green. So that usually indicates a RAM problem. So I tried piggybacking the RAM chips, and while I was doing that, I noticed that it looks very grubby around the you see that around where the chips are, and it kind of looked like somebody had been trying to do something with that. I wasn't too sure if it was just something's been spilt on it or whether somebody's had a go at it. So what I did, it was still in the case by then. So what I did is I swapped out all the chips, the removable chips, and got the exact same results. So that narrowed it down to a problem on the actual board, or a problem with the logic chips, the jelly beans chips, maybe a faulty 244, yeah, because they control the bus or sitting across the bus as buffers. So I took the board out to do some further testing, and when I turned it over, I did notice that one of the pins on the CPU here was buckled, and I was getting a black screen at some times, and so I kind of just moved that pin in a bit with a screwdriver, and then it started consistently giving me the yellow screen or green screen. So then I took the board out, and the first thing I looked at was that pin, and yeah, maybe I see somebody's actually tried to resolder that pin, so maybe somebody assumed that was the fault. And then I noticed around here the ports, there's obviously some work's been done. And then the clincher was here, the back of the RAM chip, see if you can see that. It's definitely been soldered. It looks like somebody tried to do a 1 meg mod on this by putting on the extra RAM chips, because they even put in the capacitors, and then for some reason maybe it didn't work, so they took them out and then switched it back on, and probably it still didn't work, so then they just thought they'd probably killed the board. So the first thing that came to my mind when I realized that, yeah, that's what somebody had done, was to check the rest of the mods for the 1 meg chip RAM, because you've got JP7A here and JP2, which you need to modify to get the chip RAM or 1 meg chip RAM working. I think JP7A is if you want the extra ½ meg on the expansion board here to use as chip RAM. Maybe you leave it closed for this chip RAM, I'm not too sure. But when I checked JP2, it was actually bridged in the 1 meg position. Well, kind of, I say it was bridged, it was kind of really grotty, looked way too much solder on there and flux and crap. So it could have been possibly bridging both, but I'm pretty sure it was in the 1 meg position. And of course, it's going to give a RAM error if it's looking for expecting 1 meg of RAM because of this jumper, and it's only finding 512. So I cleaned that up. You can see it here, just over here, and resoldered it in the normal ½ meg chip RAM position. Plugged the board in, and she booted first time. I was getting it to kind of boot. Before that, I was getting sometimes I was getting a Guru meditation screen, sometimes I would get a flash for a second of the 1.3 disc logo on the screen, and then it would either go to green or go to a Guru meditation. So at that point I knew there's probably not a huge amount wrong with this. And then I said, yeah, I found that JP2, and then, yeah, now she works a good one. So let's plug it in and give her a quick boot. Okay, and I've got my external Gotek drive here. Wait. And also there's this little board that I designed, which just changes DF0 from the internal to the external drive and vice versa. So yeah, let's plug the keyboard in, black dot, so that way. Okay, make sure the keyboard is not going to short anything out. Capture devices on and contact. And she's loading from the Gotek. Awesome. I also need a mouse, before I forget. Where's the mouse? Here it is. Let's plug her in. Now, unusually, I've never actually seen this on a Rev 6. This actually has an 8375 Agnes. I was getting excited that I had an 8375, but then I realized afterwards, after looking it up, that there are actually 1 meg and 2 meg versions of the 7.5, so this is the 1 meg version, which is a shame. If it had been a 2 meg, then I would have been very happy. But I don't think the 2 meg version will work in a 6A board without any kind of modification. I think the pinout is slightly different. So we can see, do we have mouse? No, mouse is not moving. Maybe it needs to be in the other port, or maybe it's because it wasn't plugged in when it was switched on. Yeah, there we go. Oh, and I then go, oh no, the go texter still on. It's just the screen's gone to sleep. I hope. Give it a sec. No, there's no drive activity. So I think it's probably crashed because I plugged in the mouse. Control Amiga. That still works. So workbench is loading. Okay, and we are up and running. So we can open our virtual workbench disk, open a shell, and then we can test a few keys. Okay, so, okay, this is a German keyboard. And this workbench disk is set up for a German layout. And it looks like our keys are all working. Although for some reason it's, I think, yeah, it looks like on this arrow key the spring's missing. Okay, that's not a problem. I can put a spare spring on there. Yeah, it's kind of sending it a bit nutty. Now let's just put the spring from the from there on there at the moment. Yeah, that seems to solve the problem. Numpad all working. Yeah, so it looks like the keyboard is fully working. It doesn't look like there's any dead keys, which is good. Okay, and I should somewhere on here have sysinfo. So I'm interested to see what sysinfo says about that. Here we go, about the Agnes chip. Okay, yeah, ECS Agnes 1 meg. So yeah, it does recognize it as a 1 meg. PAL standard Denise. Let's just do a speed check. And it's just what you would expect to see. Nothing too fancy. Memory, and there's our chip RAM. No boards in, obviously. But yeah, let's quit out of that. So we have a fully, well, electrically speaking, a fully functional Amiga 500. It's just mostly cosmetic damage. This is the floppy drive. Obviously somebody's been doing some kind of modifications to this, because this isn't an original Amiga floppy drive cable, because, you know, it looks like actually, I will take this tape off. see what's under there. I'm guessing it's just going to be bare wires. I think they've just move the keyboard out of the way so I can keep this in shot. I think they've just taped up. Yeah, see, just bare wires. So they've just taped it up. Maybe there was something else plugged into this. Maybe they had some kind of card in here that would needed power, so they used a different floppy drive cable and then just cut off the wires to serve their purpose. Yeah, they're just wired up. There's no connector on the end there. So yeah, we can probably just cut off those excess wires and just use it as a normal floppy cable. The button, as many of these are, is sadly missing, which yeah, it's dented in, so it's obviously had some kind of impact on there. Which make is this? Yeah, this is just your standard Chinon FB 354. So a pretty standard drive. So yeah, at some point I'll get in there and maybe give the heads a cleaning. But I have no doubt this drive's probably going to work fine. So, as I said, the next step will be to refurbish that case, and then it can go back into its home. The top shield was also missing, so I'm not sure what happens to that. The Agnes chip is getting quite warm, so maybe I can get some heat sinking onto there. And yeah, we can restore this to its former glory. Color wise, I'm thinking maybe of a nice matte black. I think would suit the older girl and give her a new lease of life. A few of the pins are bent on the connector here for the trapdoor, which is not uncommon because people just rive the boards out of there instead of pulling them out slowly. So we'll have to get that fixed, and then yeah, we can put it all together, put a RAM expansion in here, and Bob's your uncle and Sally's your aunt, and she's done. So if you like this video, then give me a thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe as well, and hit that bell icon if you want to get notified of when I upload new videos. As always, thank you for watching.